All right. Looking kind of pale. uh, Happy Sabbath. Uh, Hope everybody is doing good. I've had some health issues, so I hadn't been able to stream. It's kind of rough setting the green screen up just now, but I'm gonna give it my best shot today. Um, I think it's been a month and a half. Uh, so, all right. So we were in the book of Sirach last time. I'm gonna go over a couple of things. Uh, uh, Before I start. And that's one reason I haven't streamed. I hadn't been able to talk a whole lot, and I don't know how far I'm going to make it today, but I'm going to try. So bear with me. Um, yeah, I lost a lot of weight. I was bleeding out, lost 20 pounds. So I still hadn't gained all my weight back. I'm still trying to recover, but I think I can talk and do a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. Um, all right. So for people who don't understand that the book of Sirach was scripture, because they labeled it Apocrypha, which Jerome did around 400 AD, he labeled them Apocrypha, which means hidden in Latin. So a man did that. Okay. Um, and the Protestants took it out of the Bible. They removed the entire Apocrypha in the late 1800s because they said, okay, these are written in Greek. We don't have any Hebrew manuscripts, so they're not scripture. Okay. So shortly after that, at the end of the 1800s, they found Cairo Geneza, which had the Hebrew wisdom of Ben Sira. That's the Hebrew name for it. They call it Ecclesiasticus, which the church labeled it that name. They call it Sirach, which is Septuagint name, but the Hebrew name is the wisdom of Ben Sira. And I know this is Wikipedia, so you have to test everything on it. But some truths are in there also. So I'm going to read what is relevant, which is truth. So they found the Hebrew, but they didn't add it back into our Bibles. And then, about 50 years later, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, which was in Hebrew, portions of Sirach. Sirach chapter 51 was in the Psalm scroll, included in the Psalm scroll. And Sirach 6, 14, 15, 20, and 31 was also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, not much, but the majority was found in the Cairo Geneza, which a good portion of it was. And also they found uh, a lot at Masada there in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which a lot of Masada matches the Masoretic text. So it's not, that seems like more like the Jewish tradition than, that's what we got passed down, which the Dead Sea Scrolls disagrees with at a lot of points, even though they tell you, oh, our Bible is preserved perfectly by God. No, the Bible was preserved by man. The perfect preservation is on the heavenly tablets up above. Uh, so here you'll see Sirach. Some of the stuff in Sirach is all over the New Testament. So they used it as scripture. It was citing in early church writings, which Clement and Origen is pre-Rome, pre-Roman Catholic Church, before they completely killed off all believers and just took over the faith. You'll see here mid 4th century quotations. Augustine, late 4th century. All of these regarded it as canonical, which is scripture. Although Jerome and these right here ranked it as an ecclesiastical book, which he's the one that put it in Apocrypha. And also recognized by the Eastern Orthodox Church in the 5th and 6th centuries. So it was considered scripture for a long time. They got rid of it. Also, rabbinic, Pharisee, Judaism, they used Sirach as scripture up until a certain point. And what they used corresponds very closely to fragments found in the Hebrew version we found. Okay? And then they got rid of it. So, just a little background on it. So it should be in the Bible. We ended at chapter 30 last time. And with the Hebrew is the more accurate witness. The Greek is translated out of the Hebrew, and the English is translated out of Greek or Hebrew. So depending on your translation, if you've got English translated out of Greek out of Hebrew, you've got a translation of a translation of a translation, which is why there's issues with English translations. Even translating directly out of the Hebrew, it's not perfect. You're translating it into another language. But it's closer to the accurate. All right, so chapter 31. The wakefulness of the rich wasteth his flesh, his care dissipateth slumber. You can see that's completely different from Sirach 31 in the Greek Septuagint. Torah, which is wisdom. All the scriptures. And it goes, the footnotes here go into what the Greek says, what the Syriac says. They go into Galatians 3, which the New Testament is a translation of a translation, the Greek, of a translation. Care for sustenance breaketh off slumber, and sore sickness dissipateth slumber. Reproach putteth to flight a faithful friend, but he that hideth the secret is beloved as one's soul. The labor of the rich is to gather wealth, and if he rest, it is to take pleasure. The poor toileth for the lack of his house, and if he rest, he becometh needy. The labor of the poor is for the lack of his means. I got a question mark here, the question in the meaning. And if he rest, it is to his lamentation. He that pursueth after gold shall not be innocent. He that loveth hire shall err thereby. Many are there that have been given in pledge to gold, and that trusteth on rubies, and they found not how to escape from evil, neither to save themselves in the day of wrath. So we'll see here. KJV, not perfect, but it's a useful search engine, so I use it. Romans 2:5. But after thy hardness and impertinent heart, treasures up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath, and revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim, the Hebrew word for God. Great day of his wrath, Revelation 6:17. Proverbs 11:4, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So what delivers us from the day of wrath? Righteousness. They found not how to escape from evil. It tells us how to escape. Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. You look this up in the Greek. That's his precepts, his law. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, trial, tribulation. Depends on how it's translated, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. I think it's Enoch I'm thinking of. Messiah said, Matthew 6:20, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. And go back a little bit here. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Thinking it's James or Enoch. Psalm 49. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my hills shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in a multitude of riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever and not see corruption. Verse 8. These are the Dead Sea Scrolls, more accurate than modern Bibles, so I reference them a lot. Psalm 49. For the redemption of their life is costly, no payment is ever enough. For he sees that wise men die, likewise the fool and the senseless perish, and leave their wealth to others. But man, despite his riches, doesn't understand. He is like the animals that perish. This is the destiny of those who are foolish, and those who approve their sayings. Selah. They are appointed as a flock for Sheol. Death shall be their shepherd. The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning. Their beauty shall decay in Sheol, far from their mansion. What did Messiah say? He's got mansions in heaven for believers. But Elohim will redeem my soul from the power of Sheol, for he will receive me. Selah. Don't be afraid when a man is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. Move this over here. Yeah. I'm not sure where that's at. Let me look it up right quick. Oh, wrong one. Sephir app is useful for looking up the remote books. Decent. Enoch 94. Let's see here. '94. Woe to you, you rich, for you have trusted in your riches, and from your riches shall you depart. Because you have not remembered the Most High in the days of your riches, you have committed blasphemy and unrighteousness, and have become ready for the day of slaughter, and the day of darkness, and the day of great judgment. Thus I speak and declare unto you, he who hath created you will overthrow you, and for your fall there shall be no compassion, and your Creator will rejoice at your destruction. And your righteous ones in those days shall be a reproach to the sinners and the godless. Tons of stuff in Enoch, found in Aramaic, Hebrew, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was kept as scripture by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for 2,000 years and written to the last generation. Enoch scripture. For it is a stumbling block to the fool, and whoso is simple is enticed thereby. Blessed is the man that hath been found perfect, and that hath not gone aside after mammon, that's wealth. Who is he, and we will call him blessed? For he hath done wondrously among his people. Who is he that we may cleave unto him? And he shall have peace, and he shall have glory. For when, as the peace of his life multiplieth, I will be a glory unto thee. Blessed is the man that hath been found perfect. Let's see here. Yep, not included. Some parts were not found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Let's go Septuagint. Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who hath not walked in the counsel of the ungodly, and has not stood in the way of sinners, and has not sat in the seat of evil men, but his pleasure is in the law of Yahuwah. It's not Lord, that's a replacement name. His name was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, all the places where they replaced it. And they can't say that, oh, they used Lord too, because the vowel points are not in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that's what they read when they translate this, the vowel points. And in his law will he meditate day and night, and he shall be as a tree planted by the brooks of waters, which shall yield its fruit in its season, and its leaf shall not fall off, and whatsoever he shall do shall be prospered. Not so the ungodly, not so, but rather as the chaff which the wind scatters away off from the face of the earth. Remember that right there, chaff, scattered. Therefore the ungodly shall not rise in judgment, nor sinners in the counsel of the just, the divine counsel. The judgment, Paul said, will be like the angels, will judge the angels. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So chaff, threshing floor. Matthew 3:12. Whose fan is in his hand, he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. That's what he's talking about. Gather the wheat. Matthew 13:30. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, reapers are the angels, gather you together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. And this is how you have to do scripture. It's easy, super easy to take things out of context and to think you know what's going on and just blow it completely. Super easy for us to be deceived. He calls us sheep. Matthew 13:39, the enemy that sowed them is the devil, the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels, the watchers, messengers. Scripture tells you who is who and what's what. Tells us. Who is he? And we call it, okay, let's see here. You know what? I didn't share that. Let me share this. People probably don't even know I'm on here. All right. There. All right. You'll see here in some of the footnotes, people that can actually read the language. See, E conjectured that Greek G had this, a false reading for this, of which perhaps the last letter was lost in the Greek translator's copy. Lost, changed, we don't know. So, a chaos of variance. You'll see that in a lot of the documents we have. Who hath blessed it, made his life perfect. I will be a glory unto thee, who was able to stray and strayed not, and to do evil to a neighbor and would not. Therefore his good is sure, and the congregation shall declare his praise. To do evil to a neighbor and would not do it. What's that sound like? Got all the reason in the world to do evil to people. But Messiah said, Luke 6:27, I say unto you which hear, love your enemies and do good to them which hate you. Love even your enemies. How many can do that? Not easy. He tells you why also, Luke 6:35, but love your enemies and do good and lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great. You shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye merciful as your Father is merciful. He's perfect. Gotta learn how to use this search function again. He says, Matthew 22:39, the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. None other greater commandment than these. So there's still commandments, right? But these are the two greatest. Give me a second, I'll turn the air on. Happy Sabbath, Mick. Praise Yah. Turn the fan on. All right. So that's verse 11:31. I travel so many things. Yep, now I got to find where it's at in the translation. Seems like it's one chapter behind. So 30 would be, yeah, it's rough sticking. Let him not rule in his youth. Trying to combine translations together. $31. Where is it at? Cause him to feel the rod. You know what I'm gonna do? Go into KJV. King James Bible Online has a section Apocrypha. Gives you some details there. And go to Ecclesiasticus here. And let's go to sometimes it's hard to match the Greek translation with the Masoretic or the Hebrew. Sometimes the Hebrew follows it better than the Greek does. Sometimes the Greek gets it right, the Hebrew gets it wrong. Or Masoretic, I shouldn't say Hebrew because it's not Hebrew, but therefore 11. Therefore, as good as sure, the congregation shall declare his praise. Yep, so his good shall be established, the congregation shall declare his alms. This is not in the Hebrew. His good, it says, therefore his good is sure. So they stuck that in there. See? Looks good till you go test it and say, oh, that wasn't supposed to be in there. All right, so I'm going to continue reading here because I couldn't find it in the Greek. If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. Wicked eye. Where do we see that at? So many parallels with the Messiah's teaching and the book of Wisdom of Ben Sira. So Luke 11:34. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Sounds like it. Stretch not thine hand whithersoever it looketh. Gotta love that. King Jimmy. Can't remember who I heard say that. King Jimmy. I was like, where did he go? Oh, yeah. It's a little. I'm still running hot, so I guess that means my body's trying to heal. I had to turn the air on, turn the fan on. Yep. So, yep. Therefore it weepeth, stretch not. Judge not thy neighbor by thyself, and be discreet in every point. By 2 or 3 witnesses a matter is established. First Timothy 5:19, against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses. Matthew 18:16, but if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. Hebrews 10:28, he that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Here Paul references the law. Deuteronomy 17:6, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death, but at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. Same thing in 2 Corinthians. If you don't believe Paul wrote Hebrews, this is the 3rd time I am coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. So he's using Torah. He's using the law of God for his doctrine here. 2 Corinthians, written by Paul. Eat as it becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour. Note, lest thou be hated. Note. Leave off first for manners' sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. That sounds like the Dead Sea Scrolls. When they sit at the table of the many, there's certain rules for who reaches out and eats or takes first. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. King James. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him, but the pain of watching and choler and the pangs of the belly are with an insatiable man. I found out a lot of my issue come from my diet. Yep. If thou hast been forced to eat, and also not just my diet, but the stuff they put in stuff. You go to a restaurant, tons of stuff on the menu have pepper in it. I don't handle pepper good. Prepackaged foods, tons of stuff have extra ingredients and pepper in all kinds of foods. Pepper all over the place. So if I don't tolerate pepper good and I'm eating these packaged foods, my gut gets inflamed and I just keep eating it because I don't realize it. More inflammation, kaboom. That's what happened to me. My whole body just shut down. If thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. I don't know about that. My son, hear me and despise me not, and at the last thou shalt find as I told thee, and all thy works be quick, so shall there be no sickness come unto thee. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is a niggard of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of his niggardness shall be doubted of. Let's look up the definition, not just the KJV definition. Grudgingly mean about spending or granting, provided a meanly limited supply. Begrudging. Okay, that would have been a better word, translator. Show not thy valiantness in wine, for wine hath destroyed many. Yep. The furnace proveth the edge by dripping, so doth wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Wine is as good as life to a man if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. Moderately. What they say here? Scripture doesn't contradict Scripture. It's either a translation error or it's a reader error. Context. 1 Timothy 5:23, drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. A little wine. What's a little wine? Probably a glass. One glass. Wine is as good. Let's see. Make me glad. Wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminisheth strength and maketh wounds. Rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink. Red flag. All right, so I don't know where the Greek's at on that. Does not seem to match the Hebrew. Be to them as one of them, chapter 32. Take thought for them, and afterward be seated. Supply their want, and afterward recline, that thou mayest rejoice in their honor, and receive favor at the table. Speak, O elder, for it pertaineth to thee. What we see Paul say, elder. Not church elder, churchianity, Roman Catholic Church, Protestant Church. No, elder of Israel. And be carefully wise, and hinder not song. In a place for wine, pour not forth talk. And in a place for music, pour not forth talk. And wherefore shouldst thou be always wise? That's Syriac. Syriac. Here, more probably, his righteousness. See, that's the translator trying to make sense of it. Because they still don't understand all the Hebrew. Translators still struggle with passages trying to translate them. Compare the Arabic. You'll see translators do that. They compare the Greek, they compare the Arabic, they compare this, they compare that, they compare scripture to try to figure out what things mean. And most followers and believers, they'll read the English passage and say, I know exactly what that means. And they'll be dead wrong. Right, so E given a reference to Clementine or Clement, and they'll reference his writing. Syriac omits. Here's what it says. If you can read Greek, that really messed up my Greek and Hebrew studies getting sick. And biblical studies. As a seal upon a purse of gold is a hymn to Elohim at a banquet of wine. As a seal upon a purse of gold. As a boss of ruby on a circlet of gold is a concert of music at a banquet of wine. As a collar of gold wherein are emerald and sapphire, so are fine words comely at a banquet of wine. As settings of fine gold in a seal of carbuncle. That's a lot of interest in gems there. What's that in New Jerusalem and the temple worship? Is the voice of music with the pleasance of mead. Speak, O young man, if thou be wanted, with compulsion if one ask thee twice or 3 times. Restrain speaking and diminish it exceedingly, and be like one that knoweth and holdeth his tongue. Speak a word in season, right? Isaiah 54, Yahuwah Elohim hath given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary in season. He waketh morning by morning, he waketh mine ear to hear as the learned. Word spoken in due season. Fulfilled in their season. I love how the word goes together. Speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat? We saw that earlier. Chaff to the wheat. Gather the wheat into the garner and burn up the chaff. So we know who he's talking about there. They don't speak according to the law and the testimony. There is no light in them. So it needs to line up with the law and the testimony. That's how you test the spirits, even so-called believers. To make Gentiles obedient by word and deed. Paul. Among the elders, set not thyself up, and press not much on princes. Before hail speedeth lightning, and before one that is downcast speedeth favor. And this is my first time reading Schaechner's translation. This is one of the most complete Hebrew copies I've ever read. Before hail speedeth lightning, and before one that is shamefaced favor. Shamefaced. At the appointed time tarry not. Get thee home and do pleasure. At table time multiply not words. Even though a thing hath come into thy mind. In thy heart and do pleasure in the fear of Elohim, and not with lack of understanding. Do pleasure. See? Don't twist that into something physical. It says here, do pleasure in the fear of Elohim. Spiritual. Works itself out in the physical. His commandments are spiritual. We do them in the physical. Ephesians 5:21, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Paul knows what the fear of God is, right? Fear and love, same thing. Modern conception is people separate fear and love like it can't be. But fear equals reverence. If you go to they translate it fear. Ecclesiastes 12:13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Reverence God. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Okay. Where you at? Let's just copy and paste it here. It takes quite a bit of effort. That's the reason I haven't been on here. Oh, all right. So this blue letter Bible, go in the Masoretic text here. What they've translated is fear, H3372, Yere. All right. And you can go over here. He'll pronounce it for you. Yare. All right. So they translate it as fear 188 times, afraid 78 times, terrible 23 times, terrible things 6 times, dreadful 5, reverence 3 times. So the same word used for reverence. Fearful 2, terrible acts, miscellaneous. The first thing they have here, to fear, revere, be afraid, is reverence God, keep his commandments. In the reverence of God, keep his commandments. What Paul say? Fear of God. They translated fear of God. I guarantee you. Where's it at? Ephesians 5 something. He says it again there. Ephesians 5:21. To stand in awe of, be awed, fear, reverence, honor, respect, love, same thing. They just translate it differently. (5:21). And this is the Greek from the New Testament. Fear, phobos, G5401. Fear, terror, reverence. In the Greek as well, the definition they've got is reverence. In the reverence of God, and not with lack of understanding. The better manuscript read, when another is speaking, in Armenian, where there are speakers. Luke, I think Mick will like that, Armenian. Starting with it takes literally hours to go through all this stuff. And for all these things, bless thy Maker, which satisfy thee with his goodness. See that all over the Dead Sea Scrolls. And you'll see, you got to search for Lord in here. Yep, Psalms, David, bless Yahuwah, O my soul. And David does it a lot. Bless Yahuwah, bless Yahuwah. I mean, it's all over the place. Bless Yahuwah. Bless Yahuwah. All over the Psalms. So David took it very seriously. Which satisfy thee with his goodness. He that seeketh Elohim may expect favor. And he that is a madman shall be snared thereby. He that seeketh Elohim will receive discipline. And a lot of times, even if it's translated directly from the Hebrew, there's parallelism. There's a hidden meaning in Scripture. You got to pray for understanding and study to show yourself approved. Come back to it, read it again. And finally, you understand what it means. So some of this stuff, I don't know what it means. He that seeketh Elohim will receive discipline. That's in Hebrews. One thing that helps a lot is Scripture interprets Scripture. Hebrews chapter 12. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. Or children. He's our Father. My son, despise not thou the chastening of Yahuwah, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom Yahuwah loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Scourging is not gentle. Scourging, I'll just look it up. Scourged. One used to inflict pain, punishment, an instrument of punishment, criticism, and cause of wide and great affliction. To punish severely, flog, whip, afflict, chastise, to drive by blows of a whip. This wasn't candy culture like it is today, back then. And some people will take that to the extreme, way, way to the extreme. But this is pretty much telling you intense pain, scourging. Now that can be in many different forms. Every son whom he receiveth, if you endure chastening, Elohim dealeth with you as with sons, for what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? And that could be part of my issue. A couple, 3 weeks ago, I prayed, please take me or heal me. One or the other. It was horrendous. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But if you be without chastisement, but I think my diet had a lot to do with it too. But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are bastards and not sons. And also, I found a doctor on YouTube, because doctors out here, you pay thousands of dollars and they don't seem to help at all. But Ken Berry, he talks about the carnivore diet and the low carb diet. He's supposed to turn the food pyramid upside down. They actually tell you to eat more grains and all the stuff that'll kill you. And it's in all the food. So we're supposed to eat less bread, less sugars, more fats, like animal fats, olive oil, avocado oil, not vegetable oil, more meats. But yeah, Ken Berry, YouTube. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us. We gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits that lives? So he's the Father of spirits. His word is spiritual. We can't look at it with fleshly eyes and think we know what it's saying. He that seeketh Elohim will receive discipline, and he that seeketh him diligently shall obtain an answer. He that seeketh things pleasing to Elohim shall receive instruction. He will answer him in his prayer. He that seeketh the law shall obtain her. It's interesting. He says Torah is law. In the beginning was the light. We know Messiah created everything. He that is a madman shall be snared thereby. He that feareth Yahuwah shall discern judgment. And also here, he will answer him in his prayer. He that seeketh the law shall obtain her, and he that is madman shall be snared thereby. 2 ways. And shall bring forth counsels from twilight. They that fear Yahuwah shall discern his judgment. They shall bring forth much wisdom from their heart. A man of violence will wrest reproofs. That's violence to the law. Violence to, we're peacemakers. When we're his sons, his children, when we do his law, we're peacemakers. When we're not his children, when we're disobedient, we're violent, we're bastards. A man of violence will wrest reproofs and will draw the law after his need. A wise man will not conceal wisdom, and a scorner will not keep his tongue. A wise man will not take a bribe. No bribes. Deuteronomy. I have to wrap it up. Bribe. They take a bribe. Tells you in a bad context here. It's in Deuteronomy, I believe. Let's do it in KJV language. Take a gift. Yep. Neither take a gift, for the gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. Deuteronomy 16:19. One that is proud and a scorner will not keep the law. Without counsel do not anything. And after thy doings vex not thyself. Go not in a way set with snares, and stumble not at an offense twice. Get back up. Trust not in the way of the spoiler, and be watchful of thy latter end. Trust not in the way of the wicked, and beware of thy paths. 2 ways: way of good, way of life, way of evil, way of death. It's all over the Dead Sea Scrolls and the rest of Scripture. In all thy ways keep thy soul, for whosoever doeth these things keepeth the commandment. In all thy doings keep thy soul, for he that doeth this keepeth the commandment. So he repeats it twice. Hebrew parallelism to drive the point home. Keep your soul. You want to keep your soul, keep the commandment. You want to keep your soul, keep the commandment. Let's see here. All right, I'll finish up here. Man, I didn't get far at all. He that observeth the law keepeth his soul, and he that trusteth in Yahuwah shall not be ashamed. 24. 32:24. Says it again. And how do you trust in Yahuwah? Keeping what he tells you or tells us. Nope. And the Masoretic text or the Greek, this would be the Apocrypha, so the Greek. Says it 1 time. Hebrew 3 times. Bam, bam, bam. All right. I'm going to stop there. Sorry, I only got 2 chapters done. But there was a lot in there. So, all right. Praise Yah. Hope that was helpful and a blessing to somebody. Happy Sabbath. Have a good rest of your Sabbath if you're keeping Sabbath today. So, hope to see you next time. And pray for me if you would. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that's prayed for me and have helped me out.